came out with this really lousy poll. I mean, I was still up, and I was up by the least amount that I've been up so far, and we've been doing this for a long time. June 16th is when I came down, right? The escalator, the famous escalator, right? Big day. Not easy, let me tell you, it takes guts. But since June 16th, so I've been essentially the front runner from right up until this time. So the Wall Street Journal comes out with this poll. Horrible, horrible language that they wrote about it. I mean, you couldn't have made it negative. They picked out people that spoke very negatively. I said, where did they meet these people, right? Where did they meet them? And it was a lousy poll, and they put it on the front page of the Wall Street Journal about South Carolina, that my lead was razor thin, that I'm going down. And I said, why? Tell me why. And I felt good. I mean, I felt so good. I saw it, and everybody else was even criticizing. They say it's an outliner. It's really not. Everybody else was saying the same thing, because I'm at 35, 36, 42, and this thing was, this thing was way low. So I was leading by like only 4 points, 5 points, and that's like a little scary, because because I'm a believer in polls, as you probably heard, but only when they're good polls. When they're bad polls, I don't. So this was one on South Carolina, and it was bad. And the next day they had another one that was, let's say, national, and that wasn't good. I was leading, but by very little. And then we had to vote, and boy, did we do great. Did we do great. And today I tweeted, sign up everybody at Real Donald Trump. The losses. It's incredible. It's true. Today I tweeted that the Wall Street Journal should fire their pollster and their editorial board. The same thing, because I'm at 35, 36, 42, and this thing was, this thing was way low. So I was leading by like only 4 points, 5 points, and that's like a little scary.
For making sure that things are fair, everything, and prevent people from having access and getting the information message. I don't know the exact details in terms of the level of intricacies as it relates to that policy. You could probably see it on his website if they've released those position papers. But he's not about letting big corporations dominate all that. Which is, you've seen him act on that. Whether it's walking away from a Fox debate, knowing that, hey, this could be dangerous. He's not going to be pushed around by the guys that want to control the world, the guys that want people over there kissing their butts and trying to be puppet masters. He's going to be a leader for the people, not for the puppet masters. I love seeing young people in the room. It's really nice to see some young people getting involved, and that's been amazing to watch actually across the board. So it's good that you're getting involved young. I like it.
Now, one of the things you said is that you could probably cut 30% off of some of the agencies. But what about the broken agencies that we're seeing, such as the VA, per se?
Well, I don't think it would take much to do a quick YouTube search and see what my father's been saying about that process. I touched on it a little bit, but that system's been a disaster, and it's a shame because 50 years ago that was where you went for better options. Maybe some of the gentlemen here that are clearly vets could speak to that, but I mean I remember when the VA system used to be an awesome system, and it's broken. And my father's talked very much about the vets. I mean when he walked away from the Fox debate, we had about 9 hours to put together something, and we did a fundraiser for vets, raised north of $6 million. And John Walding, who spoke at that, is a friend of mine. I'm a big outdoorsman, competitive shooter, so a lot of those circles run in there, and we got friends of ours to come up and talk to us directly about those issues. John lost his leg over in a battle, and came up and gave an incredibly moving speech about that. And in talking to him personally, even over the years before we got into politics, I mean that system's a disaster. So we want to make sure, while we seem very able and content to be giving illegal immigrants all the free health care they could possibly want, we can't take care of guys who've sacrificed a lot of their lives serving this country. And so it's a system that has to be fixed. Those guys should be able to have the best access to care, not the worst. And he's spoken about it a lot. Yes, sir. Thank you. Listen, again, I don't know about case by case because there are obviously exceptions to the rule, like there are with everything. I know that's not the case elsewhere. I know that's not the case when you talk about the guys that I know that wait weeks and months to be able to get a simple appointment that they could get in their local hospital, but they're not allowed to go there to the local hospital, who may do a better job because that's not covered. So it doesn't surprise me. I know Utah's done a great job with a lot of issues as a state. Maybe it works well there, but it hasn't worked well in a lot of other places. Yes, sir. Well, I agree. The question was, my father gets hit a lot for women, but the reality of the situation is back in the 80s, we built buildings. That's still my main job. I've been doing this for 2 weeks now, like I said, 3 weeks. A little bit on the side just because I believe in what he's doing, and I want to make sure we get that message out. But back in the 80s, on some of the biggest construction jobs, some of the things that he started doing, I mean, he had women that were running jobs. Now, again, you got to remember, it's not 2016, this was 1982. To have a woman in charge of a major project that was a construction job.
Don't talk.
In New York City, it was unheard of. He's about merit. If that person was better, if that person was tougher, if they did a better job, it's not about, okay, well, we're arbitrarily going to put someone in here to fill a position to say, okay, we check that diversity box. It's not about that. It's about getting the right people for the job. And he's been doing that for... you're right. Actually, it's almost a disproportionate number of women in this room, so maybe that's because I'm so handsome. I'm just kidding. I had to throw a little Trumpism in there, so I can't help myself. It's genetic. Thank you. There you go.
Most of my life, and I now make my life a living out in the mines and driving a big equipment. And back when I started doing that, there weren't a lot of women, and so I believe that Trump is a fair man, and that's how it ought to be. Just by merit is how it should happen.
Correct. Yes, ma'am.
Those of us who are privileged to serve.
Of their income, and they're always being threatened. We're going to have to cut the Medicare. We're going to have to cut this. And they've paid into this their whole life. I don't feel like it's an entitlement. They don't feel like it's an entitlement.
It's not an entitlement. My father's been clear about it.
Ever, and this is not politically correct, hear them say we're going to cut food stamps. We're going to cut something like that.
Well, listen, my father agrees with you, and I've heard him say that on many occasions. That's your money. You've been paying into it forever. It should go back to people who've been paying into it forever. That's not the way we work now. Now we would much rather give stuff to people who haven't paid into anything, and understanding there's hardship in the world, and we don't want to be horrible people and whatnot. But that's American dollars for Americans who've paid into it. It should go back to them. He says he wants to make sure we preserve that because it is your money. And if the government's going to take it and put aside it for you, it should be there for them. Now, my father said, hey, he'll waive his Social Security benefits. He doesn't need it. He's done well enough. But that doesn't work for everyone else. Everyone else doesn't have those same options. You've been paying into it. You should be able to get it back. And right now, if you look at the way the system is managed, certainly guys my age, they won't get it. They won't see it. It's going to be a bankrupt agency. So we do have to fix that. We have to make sure that it's there and available for the people who've been paying into it for their entire lives, or stop taking it from them. Yes, sir. Well, the Supreme Court's a huge issue. That's perhaps the biggest issue, of all of this, going on right now, because, the left does a very good job of legislating from the bench as opposed to actually interpreting the Constitution. They do, that's their MO. And that's how they, will continue to make major changes to this country and to the way, America's always been. And so it's a major issue, obviously. It's something that has to be looked into a lot. There's a lot that has to happen in the next 300 days or not happen to make sure that appointment's available for him to be able to make. So we haven't had the specific conversation, but rest assured that it'll be something that's, probably a #1 priority for him right now. Yes, sir. Thank you very much. It's great to be here. I will do that.
We're getting a lot of kids that
Yeah.
Is anyone experiencing that? Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Tell your dad to go through that.
Yeah. Well, he has been very vocal about it. Education for him, he's obviously very against Common Core because you can't dummy down the system to the lowest common denominator so that you can pass the quote-unquote, little check marks that everyone puts in a system so that everyone else's kids are worse off for that. He's about local education, and, just as his son, I know how important education has been to him. From day one, that's always what he's stressed to us. That's what he stresses with us now that, I'm a parent of 5 kids, making sure that they have those educations because that opportunity that it affords them later on in life is so important. So he does want to fix the system because it's been totally broken, and he's been very vocal about it. Well, yeah. Good luck with our liberal academia right now. If you left it to them, you would never see the Constitution. It wouldn't even exist. But yes, he's obviously a big believer in that and the whole process. But I know just from growing up for him, I know what an education means, and he knows the doors that it can open. And so we want to make sure that that's available for everyone, and that it's done in a way that people can actually learn, not on a national basis whereby you just can't teach everyone the same way. It doesn't work. There's different values and different concepts, and you have to be able to do that on a local basis. Thank you. Yep. Well, you can check out his policy papers in terms of the details, but he's obviously against that. He sees what it does to his friends that are doctors and their inability to then make a living, which just takes the standard of care in a country that has some of the best doctors anywhere in the world and makes it impossible for anyone to get anything. So he wants to get rid of that, put something out there that actually makes a lot of sense for the people, to encourage other people to then go into medicine, to make sure that doctors and other practitioners can actually make a living in those after the amount of schooling that they can. And and have to go through to do that. So it's a very complicated thing, and they're working on the policy on how they're going to do that right now. But you've heard him speak about it. It's certainly something that's forefront in his mind. I don't know enough about the details of it. Like I said, I'm here. I've been in politics for 3 weeks, so I'm learning as I go myself. I build buildings. If you want to ask about foundations, if you want to ask about construction, I can talk about that. I'm probably the only son of a billionaire that's more comfortable in a D10 Caterpillar than I am on a golf cart. So perhaps I could be helpful in the mines more than I can in terms of the details of medical reform. But I like to say I try either way. Yes.